Okay, we have June 2022, paper 2, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Calculators are provided. We have the formula sheet. Well, no, we don't have the formula sheet, but let's get straight into it. So using a calculator or otherwise, find the exact value of that. Well, we know from BODMAS that you should do the division first. That is a division sign there. So this should be done first. And so let's just do that in the corner here, right? So 1 over 6, and we know that that will be multiplied by 9 over 2. So 3 into 6 is 2. 3 into 9 is 3, so we'll end up get 3 over 4. And now the question will be 7 over 8 plus 3 over 4. Well, 4 times 2 is 8, so 3 times 2 is 6, so that'll be 7 plus 6 over 8, which will be 7 and 7 is 14, so that is 13 over 8, which will be 1 and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 5 over 8. And that is the exact value. This one here is straight up to a calculator, and it's written in a very bad way because it's not 0.4 cubed. It would be actually 0.4. All of this would be cubed here. So how they wrote it there, I really don't like that, but hopefully you would recognize. And it would be 8 all over, and you just punch in your calculator 0.4, and there should be an x cubed button. So if you just press that x cubed button, you will get 0.064. And now I will go 8 divided by 0.064, which is 125. Basic calculator skills here. Find the value of that minus that correct to 2 decimal places, right? So on the calculator, I have to press, if you look for that x squared button, you'll see the second function will give you that over the x squared button. It has that, right? So second function, that to use the square root. So let's find the square root of 26.8. It gives us about 5, and they say 2 decimal places, but let's just go to about 4 just for the working, just to get a more accurate answer, right? 6, 9 minus, and what I'll do is I will put 2.5. And how do we do this to the power of 3 on 2? Well, on the calculator, you should see a button that says y to the power of x. All right? So when I type in 2.5, I'll press that button. And what you'll see is 2.5 with this. So it's telling you now to punch in the power. And I will use my my button. It looks like this, A, B over C, and I will use that button to to do the fraction. So 3, press that button, 2, so that is to the power of 3 over 2, and I get about 3.9528. Let's go with that. And so now I could minus these things. 5.1769 minus 3.9528, and that gives us about 1.2241, which we could see to be approximately to 2 decimal places, 1.22. Right, so part B, children go on a rodeo camp during the Easter holidays. Miss Reka buys bananas and oranges for the children at the camp. Bananas cost $3.85 per kilogram, and Miss Reka buys 25 kilograms, right? So 25 kilograms. She buys 25 kilograms at $3.85 per kilogram. So that means that 25 multiplied by 3.85 means she pays $96, about $96 for her 25 kilograms. And she receives a discount of 12%. How much money does she spend on bananas? So we just have to find 12% of 96.25. And on the calculator, that will be 0.12 multiplied by 96.25. That'll give us about $11.55. So therefore, 96.25. And yes, you should write all your steps minus 11.55 will give us 96.25 minus 11.55. Is that it? Yeah. About $84.70. Now, Miss Rika spends $165 inclusive of a sales tax of 15%. Calculate the original price of the oranges. So it have many different ways that we could do this. We could think of the original price as the oranges as being 100%. And so therefore, inclusive of the sales tax, when you add 15% sales tax, you'll have 115%. So with the sales tax, it'll be 115%. And that would give us $165, right? So therefore, 1% will be 165.31 all over 115. And 100%, which is the original price of the oranges, obviously 165.31 divided by 115 multiplied by 100. And that will give us divided by 115 multiplied by 100 is around $143.75. The ratio of the number of bananas to the number of oranges is 2 to 3. So we have bananas and oranges with a ratio of 2 to 3. Right? Furthermore, there are 24 more oranges than bananas. Calculate the number of bananas Miss Rika bought. So that would mean, because 2 plus 3 is 5, right? So the total is 5, and out of the 5, 2/5 of the total amount, let's call X the total amount. So 2/5 of the total amount is the number of bananas that we have. And 3/5 of the total amount is the number of oranges that we have. And look what they tell us, that there are 24 more oranges than bananas. So therefore, the number of bananas, which is this, right, plus 24, because there are 24 more oranges. So that will give us the number of oranges. Yeah, and so we could throw this across, so we will see that 24 is equal to 1/5 x, because it would become minus 2/5. And so x will be 24 multiplied by 5. 24 by 5 is 120. So 120x, this is the total bananas and oranges, right? So it's 120 fruits in all. Yeah. So now that we know it's 120 fruits in all, we'll calculate the number of bananas. Well, we know the number of bananas will be 2/5 of the total. So therefore, number of bananas will be 2/5 x, which is 120. Right? So the number of bananas will be 2 over 5 multiplied by 120, giving us about 48. And so you can see I used algebra to figure this out, but there are other ways to figure it out. You could use any way as long as the logic is there. So you could follow my logic through every step. So just make sure that you work things out logically and that you don't just guess, right? Okay, so number 2, part A, factorize completely the following quadratic expression, 5x squared minus 9x plus 4. Well, we know that when A is greater than 1, we have to use factorization by grouping, right? So what we want is we want two numbers that when I add them, I will get this middle number, negative 9. And when I multiply them, the two numbers, I will get what is 5 times 4 is 20. Yeah? So I want two numbers that when I add them, I get negative 9, and when I multiply them, I will get 20. So what two numbers are there? Well, let's look at the factors of 20. 1, 2, 4, 5. And look, we have 4 and 5 there. 5 4s are 20. And 4 plus 5 is 9, but of course it's negative 9, so it just wouldn't be 4 plus 5. What will it have to be? It will have to be negative 4 minus 5. Negative 4 minus 5 will give us negative 9. Yes, you have to take the signs into account. And the negative 4 multiplied by negative 5 will give us positive 20. Yes? So these are the numbers that we need. So what we do now is we come back and we say 5x squared, and we take these two numbers, negative 4 and negative 5, and we will replace the middle here with those two numbers. And what I'll do is I'll put the negative 5 first, right, because I can see that that negative 5 will be next to this 5. So, you know, they could factor easy. And then I'll put the negative 4 after, because I see that it have a 4 over on this side here, right? So that kind of makes it easy to factor. I'll factor this one first. It will have to be negative 4 multiplied by x plus, no, it wouldn't be x plus 1, because negative 4 multiplied by negative 1 will give me this positive 4 here. So negative 4 times x will give me negative 4x, and negative 4 times negative 1 will give me this positive 4 here. And so I take this x minus 1 and put it on this side, and I see here that all I need to do is put 5x actually on this side. So 5x times x is 5x squared, and 5x times negative 1 is negative 5x. And so we have 5x minus 4 and x minus 1 as our factors. Hence, solve the following equation. Well, we have the same equation there, so let's put the factors, 5x minus 4 and x minus 1. X minus 1. And now we put that equal to 0, and so we see that hence solve the following. X minus 1 will be equal to 0, therefore x is equal to 1, and 5x minus 4 is equal to 0, so x will be 4 on 5. Yeah, so therefore x is 1 and x is 4 on 5. So we have solved it. Make v the subject to the formula. So the first thing I'll do is swap the entire thing. Should I swap it? I wonder. This is an interesting one actually. No, let's not swap it, because I see that it have v's in the numerator and the denominator. So let's throw this one across here. So I'll have v, I'll have v minus 3 multiplied by w is equal to 5 plus v. And let's just multiply this out, so I'll get VW minus 3W is equal to 5 plus V. And now I'll throw this V across over there, So I'll have VW minus V, and I'll throw this 3W on this side. So that'll be equal to 3W plus 5. So the 3W will become positive when it jumps across. So now I could factor out the V will be W minus 1 is equal to 3W plus 5. And therefore, I'll throw this W minus 1 across. So V is going to be 3W plus 5 all over W minus 1. And so V is the subject of the formula. The height h of an object is directly proportional to the square root of its perimeter. So the height h is directly proportional to the square root of the perimeter. Write an equation showing the relationship between h and p. So this is variation and proportion. And so we start here with the height h is directly proportional, meaning that you'll just have the directly proportional sign. If it was inversely proportional would have been 1 over, right? And that would have been inversely. But they say directly, so we don't need the 1 over, right? So an object is directly proportional to the square root of its perimeter. So now to make an equation, we have to change that proportional to an equal sign, and therefore we have to put the constant of proportionality, and we have to state, because the question defines what h is, the question defines what p is. So all of a sudden you can't just bring out k like magic. No, you have to define, say k is the constant. You could just say k is a constant, but it is really the constant of proportionality. But proportionality, this takes so long to write, you could very well just write constant, and that would be fine. Given that h is 5.4 when p is 1.44, determine the value of h when p is that. So remember the equation, h is equal to k times the square root of p, right? And really what this question really is about is really about finding k. So they give you a h and a p, so you have a h and a p to substitute there, so you could find k, right? So h is 5.4 and p is the square root of 1.44 multiplied by k. So therefore k will be 5.4 divided by the square root of 1.44. So k is going to be equal to 5.4 divided by the square root of 1.44 is, no, just not 5.4 divided by the square root, 1.44 is about 4.5. And so now we have k, so therefore we can have the particular equation, the specific equation, h is equal to 4.5 divided by p. So now that we know what k is, we could find whatever they want us to find. Determine the value of h when p is that. So therefore h will be 4.5, which is k multiplied by the square root of 2.89. So h will be the square root of 2.89 is 1.7 multiplied by 4.5 is about 7.65. And do they have units? No, they didn't use any kind of units, so we will not use any kind of units either. Alright, so number 3. The diagram below shows 4 shapes P, Q, R, and S on a square grid. Well, we can see a Cartesian plane with the X and Y axis. We see in P, Q, R, S there. Describe fully the single transformation, you notice this is single transformation that maps the shape P onto the shape Q. So this is P and this is Q. It's not really a reflection, nor is it a translation. But if I take P and I spin it 180 degrees about this 0.77, it will be on Q. So a spinning P to reach by Q and about this 0.77, yeah, that's it, that's the point. And yeah, so that will work as a single transformation. And so we could say that we have a rotation of 180 degrees about the center 7, 7. That is the center of rotation, right? And I mean, I guess clockwise and counterclockwise don't make a difference because 180 degrees will get you to Q no matter which direction you go in. Right, so what will map P onto R? So we have P and we have R over on this side, and I could see that this is like a middle line here. And this line looks like a mirror line. I have two spaces here, I have two spaces here. These guys very much look like a reflection, and this line is the line x is equal to 1. So we could call that a reflection in the line x is equal to 1. Right? And you can see how much marks you gain. 3 marks here because you have rotation 180 degrees 7, 7. That is your 3 marks there. 2 marks there because we have reflection in the line x is equal to 1. That is, you could easily see the marks you gain here. Right? And the last one is S, right? So we go into from P to S, we could see that that is some sort of an enlargement. So how do we determine it? Well, we have to draw some straight lines here. So if we choose any two corresponding points, like this point will correspond with this point here, right? And we just extend that as far as the graph will go and just make sure that those 2 points are connected. So those two corresponding points are this one and this one. And now we take another set of corresponding points. How about this top one with this top one here? So when we connect those two and we just extend that until it meets the other line, you'll see that we have a center about here at this point here. That point is the point 711. So it's an enlargement from the point 711, from the origin 711. But an enlargement by what scale factor? Well, if we look at the length of this, we can see that is 4, and the length of this 2, 4, 6, 8. So it looked like we took this and multiplied it by 2. If we look at this here, this is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. This is 1. So this will be 2. So it's a scale factor of 2. So what do we have here? We have an enlargement from the origin 711, right? Or we could say not the origin, because it's not an enlargement from the origin. We could say it's an enlargement from the center, from the point, an enlargement from the point 711 with a scale factor times 2. So this is 1, 2, your 3 marks there. On the grid provided on page 10, draw the image of shape P after a translation by the vector this. So -2, 3, right? So let's see. So we want to take P and translate it by -2, 3. So that means that -2 means that this point will be going 1, 2. So that point will be there. And then 3 means we'll be going up 1, 2, 3. So this one is the horizontal X and this one is the vertical Y, right? And so that point will be there, and so the new image will be right here. So -2 takes it backward horizontally, and 3 takes it up, right? And this will be the point, the image P prime. Oh, label this image T. Yes, so that'll be the image T. All right, moving on. Number 4a, we're dealing with composite functions here. The functions f and g are defined as follows. F is 5x plus 7 and g is 3x minus 1. For the functions given, determine the g of a third. So I just taken a third and putting it where x is. So therefore the g of a third will be 3x, which is a third, minus 1. And of course, this will be 1 minus 1, which works out to 0. The f inverse of minus 3. So first of all, f of x is 5x plus 7. So f of x equals 5x plus 7. And so to find the f inverse, what I'll do is I'll say y is equal to 5x plus 7. So therefore, y minus 7 divided by 5 will be equal to x. Notice how I make x the subject of the formula, and I did it in one move, right? When you get good enough at algebra, hopefully you are good enough by now to just do that in one move. You throw the 7 across first, and then you throw the 5 underneath, right? And so now we literally swap x and y, so therefore y is equal to x minus 7 divided by 5. Right? So I literally just took x and I put it there, and I took the y and I put it here. Right? So y is equal to x minus 7 over 5. Right? And now therefore, this is the f inverse of x is actually x minus 7 over 5. And so the f inverse of minus 3 will be minus 3 minus 7 all over 5, which will be 7, 8, 9, 10. That is minus 10 all over 5, which will be negative 2. The line L is shown on the grid below. That's the line L. Write the equation of the L in the form y is equal to mx plus c. All right. So I could see first of all that c is the point where they cut the y-axis. So c is 1. Automatically I could tell that. I just have to find m. And in order to find m, I could use the formula y is equal to, I could use the formula m is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. But what this really is this is the difference in the vertical y over the horizontal x. That is the difference in the rise over the run. So when I have 2 points, I could use this. But I could easily get 2 points here, but I don't need to do that. I could just simply look at the graph. How about from this point here to this point here? You could see that the vertical rise is 2. So m is equal to the rise over the run. So the vertical rise is 2. And the horizontal run is 2, 4, 6. So over 6. So therefore m is 1 over 3. And therefore, well, we know c is 1, and therefore y is equal to 1/3 x plus 1 is of the form y equals mx plus c. The equation of a different line q is y is equal to minus 2x plus 8. Write down the coordinates of the point where q crosses the x-axis. Well, we could sketch q one time, right? Because we could see that a negative gradient and it crossing at plus 8. So q gonna look something like this, where this is plus 8 here and it have a negative gradient. So this is what q is going to look like, and we want to know where does this thing cut the x-axis. So it'll cut the x-axis when y is equal to 0, right? So where does q cross the x-axis, right? It crosses the x-axis when y is equal to 0. So if y is equal to 0, therefore negative 2x plus 8 is equal to 0. And so x will be negative 8 divided by negative 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it is positive 4. So write down the coordinates of the point Q, or of the point where Q crosses the x-axis. So therefore Q cuts x-axis at the point x is 4 and y will be 0. Write down coordinates of the point where Q crosses the y-axis. Well, Q implies y is equal to minus 2x plus 8, and this plus 8 there. Alright, C is equal to 8. That is the intercept on the y-axis, so therefore it cuts Q. Therefore, Q cuts the y-axis at 0 on the x, 8 on the y. Alright, C is the intercept, and you can see it over here in the little sketch. It'll be 8 on the y-axis, but 0 on the x-axis. On the grid, draw the line Q. Well, we know that we have the point 0, 4 here. And this is the point 0, 4. And this is the point 8, 0. And this will be our line Q. And you should draw it all the way across your graph. And this is the line Q. Complete the statement below. According to the graph, the solution of the system of equations consisting of L and Q is the solution. So this we're talking about the simultaneous equations of where L and Q meet is at this point here, and that is the point 3, 2. Right? So what we just did was we solved those two equations simultaneously using the graphical method. So that is 3, 2. And I think I made a mistake here actually. Yeah, I did make a mistake here. This is really the point 0.8, sorry. And this over here is the point 40. So that is my mistake. It happens. Try not to let it happen to you though. Alright, so a school nurse, number 5, a school nurse records the height h of each of 150 students in a class A who were vaccinated. Right? And it's shown in the table below. So we have the height and they put it in class intervals. And then these are all of the students. There's 150 students. So we could see here that 4 students are between this height and so on and so forth. Complete the table below using the information. Calculate an estimate of the mean height of the students. So we could see immediately that they have midpoint and they have this f times x thing. So we will have to remember that mean is the summation of f times x all over the summation of f. And well, the summation of f is the total amount of students, so that'll be 150. So we had to find the summation of f times x, so we need to fill out the table. So we can see here that from the midpoint of this class interval, they take as 70. The midpoint of this one, they take as 90. The midpoint of this one, they take as 110. So we could be safe to say that the midpoint of this one will be 130. And then 130 multiplied by 67, 130 times 67 will give us about 8,710. Now we could add up all of these together. And when we add up all of them together, 280 plus 1,800 plus 3850 plus 8710 plus 3,000 plus 680, that gives us about 18,320, and 18,320 divided by 150 gives us a mean of about 122.13. So this is the mean or the average height of the students in the class. In Class B, the mean height of the students is this. So in Class B, the average height of the student is 123. And we, in Class A, we got ours to be 122.13. So they're pretty similar, right? And a standard deviation of 29.87. So what standard deviation means is that we have a mean or average height of 123.5 centimeters. But if you randomly go and you take random heights from the students in the class, you're not going to get 123.5 every time, right? Even though it is the average height. So that means that the majority of students have that height. It's not exactly 123.5. It does come with some sort of a little bit of an error, right? So if you go and you choose students at random, you wouldn't get exactly 123.5, but you will get within a certain range above it and a certain range below it, right? And the span of this range here, this is the standard deviation. So it's a difference of about, 29.87 is what they say in here. So that means that when you choose a student at random, you may not get 123.5 exactly, but you will get somewhere inside of this range, yeah, of 29.87 centimeters, right? So within that standard deviation, we could see this is for Class B. For Class A, ours is 122.31 or 13, sorry. And the standard deviation is pretty much almost the same as well in terms of 21.83 is generally, the margin of error that we're dealing with here. And so we could conclude that the average heights of both Class A and Class B are about the same. And that is the comment that we could put here, that the average height, or we could say the average student, randomly chosen from either A or B would have around the same height. However, we could see that the range of the error in Class B is a little more spread out than the range of the error in Class A. So we could say that we could state that as well. So we could state as well the average student randomly chosen from A or B would have around the same height. However, class B has a greater number of students, because that means that more students will kind of fall into this average, right? So a greater spread than class A. Now this one, part C, complete the cumulative frequency table to show the information and use the information to construct a cumulative frequency curve on the grid on page 19. So I see the number of students here. So you can see 4 plus 20 is 24. 24 plus 35. So 24 plus 35 will give me this 59. And we could check it. 59 plus 67 will give us 126. Yes, and 126 plus 20 will give us 146. And so that is it for that. And so now we have to plot this thing, and let's see how they plot it here. Oh, well, we see we already have some. We have the cumulative frequency on this side. We have the height h on this side. And let's see how they plot it here. So we can see that from the height, they use the lower boundaries. So from the height of 60, the number of students is around 4. I guess they put that at 0. No, look at here. So they use the upper boundaries. So they use the upper boundaries here. So 80 students, you can see that at 100 is 20 students. Did they? Yeah, and sorry, 24. Yes, so they use the upper boundary with the cumulative frequency. So that means that at 120 will be about 59. So at 120, around 59 might be like here. So, and then 67, 140, 126, 140. And I see in they have here 126 around there. And then ours is 160, 146. So 160, this is the 160 line here. 146 may be around here. Right? And now we need to draw our cumulative frequency curve. And the curve may look something like this. Oops. Kind of had to be real careful drawing these curves. Right. About that way. So that's essentially what a cumulative frequency curve is supposed to look like. And they say use your cumulative frequency curve to estimate the median height of the group of students. So the median height will be the middle, so it's 150. So 150 will be 150 students. The middle of 150 will be about 75. So around there-ish. So we could cut around here. And then we'll come down from here. So this will be the median. And when we cut down there, we could see that, what'll that be? 125, around 125 centimeters. So let's call it that, 125 centimeters approximately. Right? The probability that a student chosen at random would be taller than 130 centimeters. So 130 centimeters is about here. And 130 centimeters corresponds to about 90 students. So that means that 90 students are less or shorter than 130 centimeters. So we want the probability of that a student chosen at random would be taller. So this difference here from 90 to 150, 150 minus 90 gives us 60 students. So 60 students will be taller than the 130. Yeah, the 130 that anything taller than 130 is here, and anything there would correspond to this upper quadrant here, upper region. So 60 out of the 150. So therefore that is 60 out of the 150. So 60 divided by 150 gives us around 0.4 probability, a 0.4 chance. That's a pretty good probability, right? Number 6, the diagram below shows a solid made from a semicircular cylindrical base with a rectangular prism above it. All right, I could see that, and they say semicircular, right? The diameter of the cylindrical base, so that should be about this diameter here of the cylindrical base is, so this is the diameter of the cylindrical base, and the width of the rectangular prism is 4, so this will be 4, and this is the diameter of the circle. So if we have the semicircle here, the semicircle is 4 centimeters. So I mean, it seems very squarish though, if this is 4 and this is 4, and this will be 4 as well. So this seems to be a square, right? Calculate the total surface area of the solid. So this is really a nice question, right? The surface area A of a cylinder with radius R is given as that. We don't actually need to use that, right? We don't really need to use that. First of all, the surface area, let's find the surface area of this of the polygon first, of the solid, the rectangular prism, right? So we know it wouldn't have a bottom in the rectangular prism, so we don't have to include that. We know that this is a square, so this is 4 by 4, right? So that is the area of that is 4 by 4. But then we have 2 squares, so that 4 by 4 will be times 2, right? And now we have the 3 sides. We have the back side, we have the front side, and we have the top side. So that's 3 sides, all of the same 12 by 4, right? So we can have here the surface area of the prism, let's call the prism P, will be the 2 times the area of the square plus the 3 times the area of the rectangular surfaces, and that will give us what? 4 times 4, 16 times 2 is 32 plus 12 times 4 is 48 times 3 is 144. So that will be plus 32. That is about 176 centimeters. And now we could find the surface area of cylinder P. And yes, is a half a cylinder. So we could use this, right? And just divide that by 2 because it is a half of a cylinder. It's a semicircular cylinder, right? So that's one way to do it, where the radius would be 2. This radius here would be 2. And I'm not sure what the height would be though. Would the height be this 4? Or would the height be this 12? I am not particularly sure about that. Yeah, actually, in terms of a cylinder, the height is usually this 12. because a cylinder would normally be seen like this, where you have the height here. So the height would be the 12. So that is one way to do it. We could use the formula, but the other way to do it is we could just say, well, all right, the area of this semicircle multiplied by 2, right? Because that'll be the area of the next semicircle as well. So we could find the area of the semicircles. And then to find the area of the curved surface, this curved surface here, that would actually be this 12 rectangle. Is a rectangle, right? The area of that curved surface. That is actually a rectangle with sides of 12. And then if you uncurve this, we will have the circumference, well, the circumference of the semicircle, right? So it'll be 2 pi r. That is the circumference of the full circle divided by 2, right? Which will just be pi r. So it have a couple of ways to do it. So let's use the formula and see what the formula gets us, right? So the surface area of a cylinder with radius r is 2 pi r, in this case is 2 squared plus 2 pi r, which is 2, times h, which is 12. And guess what? Whatever this answer is, this is the surface area of the whole cylinder. But this is a semicircular cylinder, so we would have to divide this entire thing by 2. Right? So therefore, and I call the cylinder P, but I meant to call it C for cylinder. Right? So C would be, let's see, 2 2s are 4 2s are 8 pi plus 2 2s are 4 12s are 48 pi on 2. Alright, so C is 8 plus 48 is 56 pi on 2. So therefore C is 56 divided by 2 gives us 28 pi. And you notice I could leave the answer like that. I could just leave the answer like that, 28 pi centimeters squared. So therefore the total surface area, right? So total area implies 176, and this will be centimeters squared, remember, plus the 28 pi, and we can actually leave the answer like that as centimeters squared. Or did they say to use pi as something? They didn't really say to use pi as anything. Calculate the volume of the solid. They didn't really say to use pi as anything though. So, you know, if we want, we could say pi is 3.14 plus 176. So we could boil it down to 223.92 centimeters squared. This answer is an approximate. This answer is more exact. And more exact only because we don't actually know what pi is, right? We just took pi to be 3.14. Calculate the volume of the solid. So the volume of the solid, right? The volume of the solid will have to be the volume of the prism first, which will be 4 times 4 times 12, 4 times 4 times 12, which is 4 times 4 times 12 is 192, and this will be centimeters cubed. And the volume of the semicircular cylinder. Well, if we look at a full cylinder, The volume of a full cylinder will be the area 2 pi r multiplied by the height h. But because it's a semi, we're going to divide that by 2. And of course, the 2's will cancel, so we'll end up with pi r h. And so the volume of this will be pi times 2 times 12. 12 2's are 24 pi. So therefore the volume, total volume, will be 192 plus 24 pi. This is actually a more exact answer. You can leave it like that, or if you want, you could use pi as 3.14. I mean, can we use pi as 22/7? Let's just use 3.14 multiplied by 24 plus 192 gives us about 267.36 centimeters cubed. So the solid is made from gold, apparently. So 1 cubic centimeter, so 1 centimeter cubed, has a mass of 19.3 grams. I don't even need to read the rest of the question, because we know that we got 267.36 centimeter cubed. So the amount of grams will be 19.3 times 267.36, and that will be multiplied by 19.3 is about 5160.048 grams. So 5,160 grams of gold. Calculate the cost of the gold used to make the solid. If 1 gram of gold is $42, so 1 gram is $42.62. So therefore, 5160.048 grams is going to be that multiplied by 42.62. And that will give us a whopping $219,921 and about 25 cents. At an entertainment hall, tables and chairs can be arranged in 2 different ways as shown in the diagram. We have the first arrangement and we have the second arrangement. Draw a diagram for tables using L, right? So if we using L, 4 tables would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. This is 3 people here, 1, 2, 3. 3 people here, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 each. Nice, right? So the number of chairs C that can be placed around a given number of tables for either arrangement, L or M, forms a pattern. So this is the number of chairs for L and the number of chairs for M, and we can see that they start off the same, but they are slightly different, right? Study the pattern and show, well, 4 and the number of chairs we can actually count for 4 tables: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. So the number of chairs for L will be 22 here. Interesting. Alright, but we still don't know the number of chairs for M, but we'll see. Alright. What we could do is, what we need to do is we need to complete the table for n amount of tables. So this is quite an interesting question here. So this is a sequence question. So what we need to do with this is we need to find this first, the sequences. So let's go with the arrangement L. So for the number of chairs for arrangement L and the number of tables, 1, 2, 3. And for arrangement L, we have 10, 14, 18. And let's just see. We have n here, 2 and 3. And so what multiplied by n will give us 10? Well, we could say 10 times 1 is 10, but obviously 10 is not going to work for the rest. Whatever we get for the first one has to work for the rest. So how about 8 twos are 16, 8 threes are 24. That is interesting. 8 ones are 8 plus 2. 8 ones are 8 plus 2. 8 twos are 16 minus 2. 8 threes are 24 minus 4 minus 6. Interesting. That's an interesting one. So let's try multiples of 2. So we have 2. 2 ones are 2 plus 8. 2 twos are 4 plus 8. No, it does not work there. Let's try multiples of 2. Let's try 4 now. 4 ones are 4 plus 6 is 10. 4 twos are 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. 4 threes are 12. 12 plus 6 is 18. So look, we have here the number of chairs. The nth number of chairs will imply 4n plus 6. So this first one is 4n plus 6. Now let's work out for the arrangement for m. And we can see that m, that sequence goes 10, 16, 22. So let's try, 1, 2, 3. Let's try the 4 again. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 6 is 10. 4 twos are 8. 8 plus 6 is not 14, no. So now how about let's try, and the other even number, let's try 6. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 twos are 12. 12 plus 4 is indeed 16. 6 threes are 18 plus 4, so this one ends up being 6n plus 4. And now that we have those n values, we could work out anything. So now we could see that this will be 4 fours are 16 plus 6. So when n is 4, this will be 22, just as we counted. And when n is 4, this over here is going to be 6 times 4 is 24 plus 4 is 28 over here. We have to find what is the nth value here. So for part 2, we could see that 6n plus 4 is going to be 130. 6n plus 4 is 130. And so n is going to be 130 minus 4 divided by 6. So n is going to be 130 minus 4 divided by 6, 21. So this is 21. And once we know n is 21, we can apply it to this formula. So 21 times 4 plus 6 is 90. Leon needs to arrange tables to seat 70 people for the party. Which of the arrangements, L or M, will allow him to rent the least number of tables, right? So remember, this is the number of tables here. This is the number of tables. N is the number of tables. And this is the number of chairs, which is the number of people, right? So 4n plus 6, that will give you 70 people. And then we have 6n plus 4, that'll give us 70 people. So let's see, n in this case will be 70 minus 6 divided by 4. And n in this case will be 70 minus 4 divided by 6. And so n here will be 70 minus 6 divided by 4 is 16. And n here is 70, just 70 minus 4. 66 divided by 6 is 11. So we can see here that this arrangement, right, for the same 70 people, arrangement M will cost cheaper. So we could just see here this is that arrangement M has the least number of tables. So in arrangement M, for 70 people, we only need 11 tables, and for the other arrangement, for 70 people, we need 16 tables. A rental company has X cars and Y minivans. The company has at least 8 vehicles altogether. So at least 8 vehicles, meaning that the number of cars that they have and the number of minivans that they have, it can't be less than. If you have at least $5, means you have $5 or more, right? So if they have at least 8 vehicles, means that they have 8 vehicles or more. So the company has at least 8 vehicles altogether, right? So the company has, actually no, it's greater than, right? So the number of cars and minivans has to be greater than or equal to 8. That means that they have 8 or more, yeah? So it's greater than 8. The number of minivans is less than or equal to the number of cars. So the number of minivans is less than or equal to the number of cars. And the number of cars is no more than 9. So the number of cars, if it's no more than 9, then it could be less than or equal to 9, but it cannot be more than 9. So they want you to write the 3 inequalities. Well, look, we have 3 inequalities here. A car can carry 4 people and a minivan could carry 6 people. So there are at most 60 persons to be taken on a tour. So a car does carry 4 people, and the minivan does carry 6 people, and it have 60 people to be taken. So if you have 4 people per car, that is 4 people times the amount of cars, plus 6 people times the amount of minivans, because there's 6 people per minivan. That means that there are at most 60 persons. So at most means not more than 60. It'll be less than or equal to 60. And so show that, well, obviously we just had to take this entire equation divided by 2. And that would imply 2x plus 3y is indeed less than or equal to 30. And this will practically give us an equation for the amount of people that we can carry, yeah? So we have 3 inequalities describing the relationship between cars and minivans, and we have 1 inequality describing how many people we could take with these cars and minivans, And on a grid below, plot the 4 lines associated with the inequalities in A and B and shade and label the region that satisfies all. So let's write out these 4. X plus y is greater than 8. So we have x. We have x plus y is greater than or equal to 8. We have y is less than or equal to x. Y is less than or equal to x, and x is less than or equal to 9. And then the next equation is 2x plus 3y is less than or equal to 30. 2x plus 3y is less than or equal to 30. So what we need to do first is we need to pretend that these things are straight lines. So if they are straight lines, this would be the line y is equal to x. This would be the line x is equal to 9. This would be the line x plus y is equal to 8. So therefore, y in terms of mx plus c, it will be minus x plus 8. So we could expect this line to look like this and be cutting the y-axis at 8. And for this line, we'll have 2x plus 3y is equal to 30. So that means that y will be minus 2x plus 30 divided by 3. So in terms of mx plus c, it'll be minus 2/3 x plus 10. So that is this line in terms of mx plus c. So to plot these two lines are easy enough to plot. To plot these two, I need 2 points per line. So we could see here that we could just work this out in our head that when x is 1, y is going to be minus 1 plus 8 is 7. And let's see what our grid looks like though. So we have up to y is 7, when x is 1, y is 7. And well, we could go with when x is 8, right? When x is 8, y going to be 0. So when x is 8, y is going to be 0. So that's easy enough. Minus 8 plus 8 is 0. So we have 2 points for this one. And let's work out 2 points for this one. Let's go with it easy. When x is 3, the 3's will cancel. So that means that I'll have negative 2 plus 10, which is 8. And how about when x is 6? So 3 into 3, 1. 3 into 6 is 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 10 will be 6. The 0.66. And if you wanted to see how I worked that, I chose when x is 6 plus 10. So 3 into 3, 1, 2. 2 2's are 4. So that is negative 4 plus 10, which is 6. So we have the 0.66. So now we have these points. Let's go and plot these lines, right? Let's plot these easy lines first. So let's plot the line y is equal to x. And I will do it in different colors. Of course, you can do it in different colors. In the exam, you need to use either black or blue. But just make sure that you label your lines correctly. So this here is simply the line y. Yeah, is it this? It's about here. So, yep. About that. That is the line y is equal to x. And let's use another color for the line x is equal to 9. So the line x is equal to 9 will look like this. From the x-axis, the line x is equal to 9 is a vertical line. And this is the line. You have to cover the entire axis. X is equal to 9. And now let's plot these guys here. Let's plot this first one first. So this will be 1, 7, and 8, 0. So let's use blue for this. 1, 7 is this point here, and 8, 0 is this point here. And so we have this line and we can see that it does cut the y-axis at 8. So we have that line, and that line, we could call that line y, x plus y is equal to 8, right? So this is the line x plus y equals 8. We don't have to write it as mx plus c when labeling it. I'm using the original version when labeling it, just so that I wouldn't get confused. And then lastly, let's do some different color here. Let me do an orange or a yellow. Let me do a yellow. All right. I hope that you all will see the yellow though. Maybe not. Alright, let's do a purple. Surely you'll see a purple. Purple. So let's go with 3, 8, and 6, 6. So 3, 8 is about here. And that's 3, 8. And then 6 is about here. Interesting. So now I have this line, and you do need to stretch it all the way across. And this is the line 2x plus 3y is equal to 30. So this is 2x plus 3y equals 30. Nice. So we have our 4 lines there. And now we need to test the regions to see which region is true for each line. And so the easiest ones, let's just do the easiest ones first. You can see that we have the line x is equal to 9. And so the region where x is less than 9 will obviously be this region here. This is the region where x is less than 9. So that is the green, right? And then we have the region where y will be less than x. So, you know, you could test any point and you could see, I mean, it's obvious that if we check this point here, we see this is the point x is 3, y is 2, right? So in this case, no, y is less than x. Yes, x is greater than y is less than x. So we can see that for the red line, it will be true for the underneath region, yeah, of the red line. And let me just do over something real quick here. So the green line, from the green line, it'll be this side of the green line. It'll be this side of the red line. And now we have to do, let's do that blue line. So this blue line on top here, x plus y must be greater than or equal to 8. So we have the blue line here. Let's just choose this point here. This point is 3, 6. So x is 3, y is 6, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is 9. Yes, 9 is greater than or equal to 8. So we could see that this region of the blue line will be true. Right? And for the purple line, we could see what? The purple line is this. 2x plus 3y is less than or equal to 30. So let's choose a point. If the purple line is here, let's choose this point on this side of the purple line. So that is 4 on the x, 8 on the y. And let's just test it, right? So 2 times 4 plus 8 on the y, 3 times 8 is less than 30. 4 2s are 8 plus 3 times 8 is 24. 24 plus 8 is 32. 32 is not less than 30. "32 is not less than 30, so it may not be this region of the line. Let's choose another point. Let's choose a point just on the other side. So let's choose this point here on this side of the purple line. That is the point 3, 7. So 3, 2 times 3 plus 3 times 7. 7 3s are 21, 2 3s are 6. 6 and 21 is less than 30, yes. So 21 and 6, 27 is less than 30. So it would actually be this side of the purple line. And what region will be true for all of them? Well, we could see that it would appear, I was expecting it to be this triangle though, but we could see that this region here, bounded by these points, this region here will be true for all of the inequalities. So this region will be true for all inequalities, right? And it's important to look at the points that that region is bounded by. We can see this is the point 4, 4. We had to make note of these points. We can see that this is the point 6, 6. Very interesting. We can see that this is point 9, 4. We have the point 9 on the x, 0 on the y, and we have the point 8 on the x, 0 on the y. Yeah? So we have this region here bounded by these points, and those points bounded, those points that bound that region are very important, because determine the two combinations for the minimum number of cars and minivans that can be used to carry exactly 60 people on tour. So if we carry in exactly 60 people, remember that would be 4x plus 6y is equal to 60, which means that when we divide it by 2, we would get this, and we will have this equal to 30. So for exactly 60 people, it would be 2x plus 3y. 2x plus 3y will be equal to 30. And what we want to find is determine the two combinations for the minimum number of cars and minivans that can be used to carry exactly 60 people. So remember, what are these points? These points give us the minimum or maximum. These points are x and y, so they are cars and minivans. Alright, so cars and minivans, cars and minivans, cars and minivans, right? So you could see here 4, 4, 6, 6, 9, 4. Let's just make a note of them. 4, 4, 6, 6, 9, 4. We have 8, 0, and we have 9, 0. Right? So obviously we could see here that we could use 8 8 if we use 80, right, that means that we have 8 on the x times 2 plus 30, and that won't give us 30, will it? I mean, it is less than 30, but we want for exactly 30. So if we use the 0.66, we'll see that 2 times 6 plus 3 times 6. 6 2s are 12 plus 6 3s are 18, and that will give us 30, yes. So, so 6 minivans and 6 cars, that could work to carry 30 people. Yeah. Or is there another combination? What about the 9-4 combination? The 4-4 wouldn't carry 30 people, but maybe the 9-4, right? So the 2 times 9 plus 3 times 4. Will that give us 30? So 9 2s are 18 plus 4 3s are 12. Yes, it will give us 30. So we have the 9-4. So therefore, these are the two combinations for the minimum number of cars and vans that can be used to carry exactly 60 people. These combinations here are 6 cars, 6 vans, or we could use 9 cars and 4 vans. The company charges $75 to rent a car and $90 to rent a minivan. Show that the minimum rental cost for the tour is $930. Well, you can see that, we have $75 for a car, right? So X, and for the minivan Y is $90, right? So that means that 75 per vehicle plus $90 per van show that the minimal rental cost for the tour is $900. So the minimal meaning that it'll be no greater than, so it could be less than or equal to 990. So we have something here to give us profit rental cost for this tour. Of course, let's see in terms of the minimal rental. Show that the minimal rental cost for this tour is $990, right? So we had to show that, so it's not less than or equal to 990. It's not that. So we have to show that we have these two here. So let's try these two and see. So at 6 implies that we have 75 times 6 plus 90 times 6. And what does that give us? 75 times 6 plus 90 times 6. This gives us 990. What about 9-4? Right? At 9-4, we have 75 times 9 plus 90 times 4. Right? So 75 times 9 plus 90 times 4 gives us 1,035. So therefore, cheapest rent implies 6 cars, 6 vans for $990. Fun question. Ooh, our fan favorite. Okay, so number 9. H, J, K, L, and M are points on the circumference of a circle with center O. MK is a diameter of the circle and it is parallel to, so we see we're dealing with some parallels here. So we can see that these two lines are parallel. Also note that these two lines are equal. Right? So we could already start to draw some conclusions from these things, right? And we could see here, they're just describing it to us. This is 38 degrees over here, right? So explain, giving reason for your answer, why HJM is 38. What is HJM? HJM is this. Why is that 38? Well, we could see that this line and this line are parallel. So that means that this is the transversal, right? And imagine we have this line and this line is parallel and this is the transversal. So if this is 38, then this is going to be 38 because of alternate angles, right? So this is 38 degrees because of alternate angles. Explain why, given reason why. So 38 degrees, alternate angles are equal, and you could even go how HJM is equal to JM. You could say JMO or JMK. We could say JMK, which are alternate angles, which are 38 degrees. Yeah. So we found that one. MJK is 90 degrees. What is MJK? This is 90. Yes, we could see that MK is the diameter passing through the center, and so angles subtended by a semicircle. So MJK implies angle subtended by a semicircle equals 90 degrees. So that one was pretty easy enough. And now determine the value of each of the following angles. Show detail working where appropriate. Okay, so MLG. MLG. So that is this angle here. This angle here is subtended by this chord over here. This chord subtends this angle, and this chord also subtends this angle. So we could see that from this triangle, so from triangle MKJ implies that the angle MKJ, this angle here, will be 180 minus the 90 plus 38. So we're talking about this triangle here. And so we will get 180 minus 90 plus 38 is 52. And therefore, angle MLG equals 52 as subtended by the chord MG, as subtended by the chord MG. So MKG is also subtended by the chord MG. So yes, so we could see, and just to recap a little bit, we have this triangle here. This MG is subtending these two, this angle here as well as this angle here. Those two angles are being subtended by MG. So MG subtends, MKG is equal to 52 is subtended by chord MG, and therefore the angle MLG is equal to 52 as subtended by chord MG. So they are both subtended by the same chord. So now we want LJK. So LJK. So we saw that this is 52. We saw that this is 52. Now we want LJK. This little guy here. That is what we want now. Right? So we want this little angle over here, LKG. I could see that that angle, LKG, is subtended by this chord, or the arc. So let's just make a note of that, right? LJK is subtended by LK, right? LK, right? Notice that this angle is also subtended by LK, right? So LK subtends that angle. So that is the angle LMK, the angle LMK. LMK is subtended by LK. Therefore, the angle LMK will be equal to the angle LJK because they are both subtended by LK. So now if we find this angle, we will find this angle, and therefore the angle, notice that the triangle MJL, this triangle here, notice how this and this are equal. So this triangle M to J to L is isosceles. So therefore, the angle at LMJ is 52 degrees. Therefore, the angle LMK will be 52 minus the 38. So 52 minus 38 is 14 degrees. So once we get this as 14 degrees, therefore this will also be 14 degrees. Therefore LJK is equal to 14 degrees, and we already stated why, because these two are equal. And now we want to find the angle JHM. So we could see here that MHJL is a cyclic quadrilateral where the angle at L is opposite to the angle at H, where angle L is opposite angle H, and so opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. So that would mean that 52 plus the angle at H is 180. So the angle at H will be 180 minus 52. 180 minus 52 gives us about 128. And so, therefore, the angle MHJ is 128 degrees. Okay, so we're going with bearings now, and from a port L, so we see an L here, the ship R is 250 kilometers on a bearing of 65 degrees. So this R here, 250 kilometers, and that bearing 65 degrees is taken from north. So this is 65 degrees here. The ship T is 180 kilometers. I could see that from L on a bearing of 148. So that ship T from the north, this entire green angle is 148 degrees, right? This information is illustrated on the diagram below, yes, and complete the diagram above by inserting the value of angle RLT. RLT. So if this is 148 degrees, then RLT will be 148 minus 65, which is this angle here, 83 degrees. So complete on the diagram by inserting that. Calculate RT, the distance between the two ships. RT. Well, this is interesting because, as you could see, I have the angle with the two sides on either side of the angle. So that tells me that I'm going to be dealing with the cosine rule. If this is the side T, this is the side R, and let's call this the side L. That means with the cosine rule, I want to be finding the side L. So L squared is equal to R squared plus T squared minus 2RT, the cos of L. Yeah, and so R squared is 180 squared plus 250 squared minus 2 times 180 times 250 times the cos of 83 degrees. So 180 squared plus 250 squared is that 94900 minus 180 times 250 times 2 multiplied by the cos of 83. This works out to be 10,968.24, and of course 94,900 minus that answer. Yeah, that makes sense. So therefore L squared ends up being 83931.76, and so L will be the square root of 83931.76, which will be the square root of that is around 289.7, and yeah, so L is 289.7, and so that definitely works for that. So this is the cosine rule there, and just as a reminder that the cosine rule, once you see an angle in the middle and you have the two sides on either side, that is a clear cosine rule application, right? Determine the bearing of T from R. The bearing of T, so I go into T from R. So from R, right? Remember, you have to draw your north line. Remember, north lines are parallel. So what I actually want is from this north line here, I want this bearing from R going to T from those parallel north lines. So I could see here that because the north lines are parallel, means that this angle here and this angle here are co-interior. Co-interior will add up to 180 degrees. And so 180 minus 65 gives me 115. So that means that this angle here is 115 degrees. That is this angle here. Right? What I will need to do is find this angle here. And if I could find this angle, well, then I could just minus these guys from 360 and I'll have that bearing, the red angle there. So in order to find this green angle, angle R, so we could say that angle R is angle R over, right, so using the sine rule here, we will see that R all over the sine of R will be equal to L, which is 289.7, all over the sine of L, which is 83. So yeah, we could actually, oh yeah, R is 180, by the way. And I guess we could flip this. So sine R all over 180 is equal to the sine of 83 all over 289.7. So therefore we'll get the sine of R being the sine of 83 divided by 289.7 multiplied by 180. So the sine of R is the sine of 83 divided by 289.7 multiplied by 180 is about 0.616, and therefore R is the sine inverse of that is about 38 degrees. So if R is 38 degrees, this angle inside here, therefore the bearing of T from R will be 360 minus the 115 plus 38. So that will give us 360 minus 115 plus 38 is about 207 degrees on a bearing of 207. Okay, so number 10, the transformation of matrix A is that represents a rotation of 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the origin. I'm happy that they gave it to us and we didn't have to remember. A transformation of matrix B that represents a reflection in the straight line with equation y is equal to minus x. Write the coordinates P prime of the image P that undergoes a rotation by 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the origin. So I guess that P will undergo this transformation. So therefore P will undergo under the transformation A maps on to P prime. And how we do that is we take the transformation 0 minus 1, 1, 0. We multiply it by the P711 and we will get, let's just see, 0 times 7 is 0 plus negative 1 times 11 is negative 11. And then the underneath row, 1 times 7 is 7 plus 0 times 11 is 0. So we get negative 11, 7. And so therefore P prime is, write the coordinates. So we want it as coordinates, negative 11, 7 is P prime. T is a combination transformation of A followed by B. A followed by B. So T is B and then A. Determine the elements of the matrix represented by transformation T. So we have B multiplied by A. So B is 0, -1, -1, 0. That is B. And then A is 0, -1, 1, 0. So we have A is 0, -1, 1, 0. And so this will give us T. So we multiplying this row by this column. So 0 times 0 is 0. And then -1 times 1 is -1. Yeah. Then we multiplying this row by this next column. So 0 times that is 0. And then 1 times 0 is 0. This bottom row by the first column. So -1 times 0 is 0. And then 1 times 0 times 1 is 0. And then this bottom row by the second column, so -1 times -1 is 1, and 0 times 0 is 0. So we could see that we get -1, 0, 0, 1, and that is T. Now notice it's kind of very similar to this, right? So the matrix A is a rotation anti-clockwise 90 degrees. That is quite interesting. Right? Describe geometrically the transformation T. Well, if we remember, well, I guess this one we would have to remember the list of transformations. -1, 0, 0, 1 is actually a reflection in the x-axis. The 2 by 2 matrix C is defined in terms of a scalar constant k by that. Determine the value of k given that C is singular. So if C is singular, that means the determinant of C is going to be equal to 0. So the determinant of C is 3 times 4 minus 6 times k, and that is equal to 0. So 4 3s are 12 minus 6k is equal to 0. -6k is equal to -12. So k is going to be equal to +2. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And now we are on to vectors. The diagram below, O is the origin, OX is equal to U. So I'm seeing that OX is U, right? OY is V. OX and OY are extended so that X and Y are the midpoints of OA and OB. So these guys are at the midpoint. That is important. Express BX. BX. So that is driving from here to here. And notice the direction, BX in terms of U and V. So if we want, we could say that BX will be BO plus OX. We know that BO, if here to here is V, then here to here will be 2V. Right? And if we go in the opposite direction, it'll be minus 2V. So minus 2V plus OX is U. So that will give us U minus 2V. Given that YA and BX intercept at M and... Alright, so let's just take it one step at a time. Let's just take it one step at a time. What are they telling us here? YA is this. And BX intersect at M. Is that what they're saying? YA and BX intercept at M, and BM is equal to 2MX. So BM is 2MX. So let's make a note of that. BM is 2MX. So that means that this is actually kind of split up into 3 sections. The XM is a third of XB. but we'll see if we need that information. Express BM, well, express BM in terms of U and V. Didn't we already do that? No, we did BX. So express BM in terms of U and V. BM in terms of U and V. So we have BX, right? I mean, BX, we could see that BX is equal to U minus 2V. And well, BM, we want to find BM. Notice BM is twice, so therefore 2 of this will give us 1 of this, XM, right? So 1 of XM will give us 2 BM, right? So if we take 2 times MX, that is the length of BM. So this whole thing is 3, right? So therefore BM is actually 2/3 of BM is 2/3 of the entire BX. Right? And we don't have to worry about direction because we are driving from B to M and from B to X, so it all works. 2/3 of U minus 2V. And I guess we could leave it like that. Yeah, instead of multiplying it out and such, is actually in its simplest form like that. So BM is actually 2/3 of BX. And now using a vector method, show that the ratio YM to YA is 1 to 3. Show all working. The ratio of YM to YA. I have to show that the ratio YM to YA is 1 to 3. So let's see where YM is here, and YM to YA is 1 to 3. So I guess we would need to find what is YM and what is YB, right? So YM is, if I want to drive from Y to M, I could drive from Y to B and then from B to M. We know that Y to B is V, plus B to M, we got to be this, 2/3 U minus 2V. 2/3 of U minus 2V. And so let's see if we can simplify. Now we'll probably have to multiply it. So 2/3 U minus 2 2's are 4 on 3V. So what do we have there is 1 minus 4 on 3. That is -1/3. So now I have 2/3 U minus 1 on 3V. And of course, maybe I could pull the third out to give us 2U minus V. So we could see how that works. Now let's find what YA is. So YA, that is going to be, YA will be YO plus OA. YO plus OA. So YO is minus V, because we're going in the opposite direction, plus OA will be 2U. 2U. Well, look at that. 2U minus V. So we could see, therefore, that YM is 1/3 of YA, and therefore YM to YA is 1 to 3. Okay, so that is it, and I'll see you guys next time for the next paper.